Okay, here we go. Okay, well, I wanted to introduce our guest speaker today, Keone Kealoha, and he is the Executive Director of Kanu Hawaii, who is also a technologist, musician, and nonprofit business leader with over 25 years of experience in entrepreneurial business experience in the for-profit and nonprofit sectors. Keone has many years focused on addressing community, environmental, and cultural needs in Hawaii. He's also always tackling different programs, projects, events, policy, legislative advocacy, education, fundraising, and strategic planning for many in our community. So welcome, Keone.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks for the introduction and your time tonight. I think just to follow on that, just give a little background on myself. I was kind of raised here in Hawaii, went to high school, and worked in a bunch of nightclubs as a DJ for a long time. Went to California, I kind of traveled around, lived in Japan, Europe for a little while DJing. And when I started having kids, it was like time to come home and raise them in Hawaii. And I think, I kind of found my calling doing nonprofit work for a couple of reasons. One, I'm Kanaka Maoli. I feel connected. I felt like it was my time to give back because I was really, just having a great time running around the planet, enjoying my life. And so I just felt, Mokua, it's time to malama and to take care of this place and do my part. And the other was also just that I wanted to do something that kind of felt like my experience, which is like kind of organizing events, organizing parties, and actually working for a nonprofit. I mean, that's the philosophy behind Volunteer Week and all the other projects that we take on. There's the world is depending on us. We're the ones that are both threatening it and can save it, and it's really up to us. And so I think the best way to motivate people is to have a party that nobody wants to miss. And so that's what Volunteer Week Hawaii is really about. So I think you kind of mentioned policy in there as well. So I'll just kind of, if it's okay, I'll share my screen and we can kind of jump into some of the slides and some of the pieces that I have, if that's all right. Let's see, I think we will go here first. So our homepage for Kanu Hawaii is at kanuhawaii.org. You can check it out. I did want to start though kind of in the legislative side of things because it's kind of what's happening right now, yeah. And so we were able to get a resolution which did cross over to recognize Volunteer Week this year, both on the House side with a Hawaii concurrent House concurrent resolution and also a Senate concurrent resolution. Both of those have passed their committees, so it looks like those are both going to stand. And then we also this year introduced a bill, SB 2202, which recognizes April as Volunteer Month in the state of Hawaii, which currently it does not. So that has made its way all the way through. It's, I guess it'll go to conference and things like that. But if you are interested in putting that on your legislative agenda and maybe providing something from Rotary in support of April being Volunteer Month in Hawaii, that'd be greatly appreciated. And we've been able to have the support of not just the legislature in the past, but also of our governor and our mayors through proclamations. So I'm just going to play a really quick clip here for you. Hopefully the audio is working. Let me know.
Visit volunteerweekhawaii.org.
Okay, I think he's had a little bit more to say, so let's see.
Volunteer Week Hawaii is happening April 17th to the 23rd. To host a volunteer event or volunteer in your community, visit volunteerweekhawaii.org.
So, we had a chance to have him do some video work, but he's also offering a proclamation. And so, so are the other mayors from the 4 counties. In fact, Volunteer Week Hawaii has been supported the last 2 years from the city and county of Honolulu through a grant and aid that we were able to receive. About 80% of the events take place on Oahu during the week, but no surprise given the population distribution of Hawaii. So if you do go to our homepage, you're able to link into Volunteer Week Hawaii. You could also get there by going to volunteerweekhawaii.org, and that will put you onto the landing page for the site. Did the video play okay? Were you able to hear the audio on that? All right, okay. I'm gonna play this video. We just released this today. It's just a minute long, but it gives you some insight to kind of Volunteer Week and what's happening.
Volunteer Week Hawaii 2022 is right around the corner. This year, we've got some amazing events happening from April 17th to the 23rd. We invite you to come out and give back to your community.
Volunteering is taking care of the environment and helping our islands home.
Volunteering is lending a hand in our community.
Volunteering is a great way to get out and spend time with the family.
For me, it's wonderful to see the power of community to make positive change.
I volunteered because it makes me feel so good to give back.
Volunteering is a fun way to make new friends.
Always malamadai, and I know will malamadi.
During Volunteer Week, hundreds of nonprofits are hosting events across all the Hawaiian Islands, giving you an opportunity to get connected in a way that you want and give back in a way that matters. Volunteer with Aloha. It's our kuleana.
So we've been pretty successful in sharing that through social media and getting people connected. So that's really one of our main strategies of how we get people to participate and just to learn about it. Essentially, Volunteer Week is, it follows National Volunteer Week, which has been around by presidential proclamation for the last almost 50 years. Started under Nixon, I think in '74. And so we picked it up in 2018, ran it as a pilot. We thought it was a good opportunity. So in 2019, we really made a push for it. This year, we're looking to engage at least 10,000 people across 6 islands. And we already have 270 events that are posted for Volunteer Week. And we have more. Hopefully we had to add another 100 to that before the week actually starts. So if you go to the Volunteer Week Hawaii landing page, you'll be able to, as a volunteer, you can search the events that we have. We've got a mapping feature where you can literally just find something either by the island that you're on, or you can sort it by island. You can look for different opportunities that's here. You can search it and things like that. So we hope that that's an easy way for people to get connected. I could even just click through one of the events so you could take a look and see like what's happening.
Look at ours.
Yeah, let's look at yours. All right, let's check. Okay. All right, clean up on the bike path. That's the one that's in here. But this is available to any of you or any chapters that are out there, or really any organizations or businesses that would like to host an event during the week. And then all you would need to do is when you go to the website, you would just, here, I'll click back to it. You would hit the second box, which is to host a volunteer event. And what that'll do is it'll put you onto a form, which just asks you a series of questions. And then you just fill it out. And what we do at that point is we have people, real people, that will give you a call and schedule a time to talk with you. And then we will add your information to the platform and just kind of set your account up. And then you'll be able to manage that event or multiple events that you might list up on the platform. And that's a free service to any organization that wants to host events or have a volunteer management tool if they don't already have one. If you already use a form or a tool of your own, you could simply just link to it on the page. And so this is really just kind of a funnel for getting people to connect with the local organizations that are hosting events during Volunteer Week and beyond. I would say it's kind of like the largest kind of volunteer open house for nonprofits. In fact, Volunteer Week Hawaii is the largest volunteer-focused campaign in Hawaii, and it's also the largest state-level celebration of National Volunteer Week in the United States. So aside from all the events and being able to host one, if you haven't signed up already or created an event, we're also hosting Eala A, which is an oli, it's a chant that welcomes the sun up from the depths of the ocean. And we're doing that on Earth Day, which is April 22nd every year. And the reason we're doing it is just that Earth Day already has like a very high level of awareness around environmental stewardship, right? It's more of an international day of environmental service, but we wanted to bring a cultural context to that. And the genesis of ALA, it was actually, the OLI was created for the transition protocols of when the Navy returned Koho'olawe back to cultural practitioners. So that's the genesis of that OLI. And so really it's going from the idea of looking at INA from something that we're going to bomb and use for kind of a target practice, just to back to stewardship and kinship, with the INA. It's not to say that defense of the United States is not important, but I think that there's not a lot of Hawaii to go around, and I think blowing it up is probably the best use of the INA. So you can sign up for it here. What we are going to be adding in probably the next several days is a list of all of the different islands. There's 6 islands that are hosting events. There's multiple events on some islands that you could actually go to if you wanted to kind of join other folks from your community to ALA in the morning. In addition to the ALA chant that we're doing at sunrise on Earth Day, we've also been able to establish a relationship with Hawaii News Now, who I heard you mention earlier. And we talked with them about Volunteer Week, and they were so interested that we came to this agreement and partnership around beginning to host a weekly segment that will air on High Now called ALA. And essentially it's about a 3-minute segment that we'll do every week. And it'll feature a nonprofit and kind of their volunteer program and the impact that volunteers are making in Hawaii. We also have a partnership with the Department of Education, and part of that is helping to develop Malama Aina kind of values with students and their families, and connecting them to community organizations so that the schools and the students can start to develop more of a civics engagement, both through the school and in general in their community, and help them to develop leadership skills around creating opportunities to preserve things that are important to them. And so part of it will also be taking a look at and highlighting our youth and what are they doing in their communities across Hawaii to make a difference. And then lastly, we also want to look at our business community, right? So employee volunteer programs is kind of the tip of the iceberg on corporate social responsibility programs. And mostly it's the larger corporations that have invested in these programs, but really there's really strong evidence and data that suggests that even small and medium-sized businesses could benefit from an employee volunteer program, both from employee satisfaction and kind of retention, and also just from a branding and positioning of your business in the community and with your customers. And that customer demographic, as it begins to change, those type of values are going to become stronger and more in demand. So that's a partnership that we have with them. And I know that you folks do support lots of volunteer opportunities in the community. This is something that we're looking for partners to help support the production costs of it. I'll probably share this later with, with Christina, because you're kind of leading this, but if this is something that perhaps Rotary is interested in supporting in some way, there's an opportunity for that to take place. And I think part of that would also go to being able to feature some of the things that Rotary does in the community, which would also become part of the future of what we could be covering. The fourth piece on our Volunteer Week page is actually a link to something called Pledge to Our Keiki here. And so Pledge to Our Keiki it's a different program area that we have, but it's the one that we're using to engage youth and their families around environmental stewardship. So we were able to secure a 5-year MOU with the Department of Education. And so we're going to be able to do outreach to all the K through 12 students in public and charter schools that are under the DOE umbrella. It's about 175,000 kids. So this is our first big push with that. So we're looking for about 10,000 signatures from students and their families on the pledge. And the pledge is found on this page. It's pledgetourkeiki.org. The pledge was written by students from several Hawaii schools, and it was modeled after the Palau Pledge. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that pledge, but Palau is a small island nation near the Philippines of about 22,000 people. And they were having a lot of impacts coming from, in fact, here, let me just share this other screen if I can. Do I still have it up? No, I don't. I'm sorry. Let me, I'll go ahead and go back to the presentation. I was going to kind of, actually, yeah, I do have it. So let's see. Are you able to see that?
No.
No, you're not able to see it.
Well, oh, we can see it now.
Yeah, so here's Palau. It's just that, you know, that kind of red marker off the Philippines. But they have their visitor industry was around 100,000 visitors a year for 22,000 people residencies, right? So it's about a 1 to 5. Hawaii's got about 1 to 8, you know, and they literally have their pledge stamped into their passport, and people have to sign it. They have it in about 80 different languages. So you sign it and you actually pay a fee in Palau, and that fee collected goes to offset the cost of managing their conservation programs. And it's raised so much money that they actually use the surplus to pay down their public debt to help pay for the government's, like, you know, retirement funds and things like that. So I know Hawaii has some huge issues around that. So I think these are some of the outputs and some of the benefits of the Palau Pledge, you know, having students be more engaged in natural resource, elevating the youth voice, having residents change personal behavior. One of the huge stats that came out of this is this third one here, that of the people that visited Palau and signed the pledge, 96% of those visitors said the pledge made them consider their impact to the environment more closely. And you know, with the amount of visitor traffic and also the amount of, I'd say, kind of resident displeasure around, you know, the visitor industry, there's an opportunity there for us, right? So that was why we kind of took on this project and said, hey, let's try to see what we can do with this. How can we elevate our youth voice and engage them more around sharing their future, ideal future for Hawaii with people who are coming to visit. So, you know, with the pledge, I kind of mentioned it's having students sign it, and part of it is also developing their kind of service learning piece around that. So we want to engage our students in volunteerism and just being able to connect more easily with their community. So part of that is developing their leadership skills around coming up with an idea and how do they organize and get people to support their idea and that they can host these events. It's a great skill to be able to have. And it's also an opportunity for us to connect our nonprofit community with the youth, right? So we already work with 350 organizations through Volunteer Week. We're like, well, why don't we just have them create opportunities that are more student facing? And then students can search the database based on maybe their geography or things they're interested in and be able to connect with nonprofits that are in their community to organize and get back. So one of the interesting things about this is that we are going to be tracking the Aloha Plus Challenge goals. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Aloha Plus Challenge, which is actually a local version of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which is from the United Nations. So here, Hawaii Green Growth is the one that manages and oversees those 6 goals. So I've been working with them for the last 10 years on their with the Aloha Plus Challenge. And so now what we're going to be able to do is track these goals and their sub goals when it comes to what are students working on and what kind of impacts are their volunteer programs making. And hopefully that information will help to guide where some of the public investment can go for professional development career pathways for our youth to be able to stay here and make a reasonable living. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. You know, we've got some sponsors, thanks to all these amazing sponsors who are helping to support Volunteer Week. And that's kind of where we are right now. So I'm open to answer any questions you might have about the program, or, you know, kind of how we could connect, or how really can we get this on your annual calendar as something that it's not a if, but it's a what are you going to be doing during Volunteer Week?
Well, thank you so much for, you know, jumping in. I'll definitely help with questions if people have them. But to start, I did want to mention a couple of things. I don't know how familiar you are with Rotary, but we do have interact clubs that are within the high schools. And then we do work, so a lot of high schools in the state of Hawaii have an actual Rotary club connected with them. And they do a lot of what you're already talking about. So I think there's some potential synergy there that we can connect you with our youth services section of Rotary district wise, and maybe there could be some partnerships that we can, you know, bridge and then tie into not only volunteer week, but the pledges that you're talking about. And then the other thing I was wanting to mention was that for everybody that's at a different club and is hosting a Ridge to Reef actual volunteer opportunity, whether you're offering it to your members or you're opening up to, you want maybe volunteers in your community to join, you can still actually sign up your cleanup with Volunteer Week, which is what Keone was talking about in the beginning. So we definitely encourage that. I did our club's one, and even if you are already at full capacity for your volunteer opportunities, it's still good to log it down. You kind of have the exposure, but it won't be asking for volunteers. It'll just be stating what it is you're doing, because they are trying to get a tally of over 10,000 volunteers. So whatever you do have and report back to them, it will definitely help with their numbers too. So I just wanted to put that in there.
Yeah, if your event is private, we can mark it as private. We don't have to put an actual address. We can just kind of put a pin in the neighborhood of where it'll be. But I think it does a couple of things. It gives visibility around that you're actually out there doing something as a club, both for your organization and also for whatever the effort is that's being focused on. And then it also helps us. This is kind of a snapshot, over the year of what kind of impacts are our community organizations making in our communities. And so it helps us to just get that snapshot and help us to project, like, what kind of impacts are happening, where are people spending their time. And I think that does help in allocation of other resources to go towards this. For example, the sponsors that we do get, we take half of the money that we get from sponsors and put it into a pool that we then use to help actually support nonprofits who are hosting events. So we do have a process for providing, like, kind of, I guess it would be a sub grant or some funding to help offset some of the costs of administration and participation. So once you sign up using the sign up portion of the form, then when you're contacted, you'll be given the information on how that works. But we just feel like, there's no volunteer week without volunteer opportunities. And I spent a lot of years on Kauai, and people always want Kauai to participate, but they never want to pay you. They just want you to do everything for free. And I just promised myself that if we're in a position, we want to pay people, we want to give them money so that they can participate and feel valued for their investment.
Any questions? Anybody?
I can go first. So Kanu Hawaii doesn't only do community service projects during volunteer week, right? It's throughout the entire year.
Yeah, I would say we're more of a facilitator. I think in the past, the organization has been much more like organizing individuals to take direct action, or not direct action as in like against policy, but more like getting directly involved in community efforts, right? What we're doing now is, instead of trying to run that all ourselves, what we're trying to do is figure out how can we build the biggest tent possible so that we can get people under it, and then create a really large scale visibility to our community on all the opportunities that are there. So I think we're working more in the middle out than we are from the ground up, and I just feel like there's a lot more benefit to supporting the efforts that all the individual organizations are making, and looking for those opportunities to open the middle of the hourglass up and let more resources come to them.
Okay. And I have a second question as well. You were talking about how you give grants to nonprofits, and I noticed, because our club is very new, we're only like 3 years old, and when we first started the first year, we were like rejected from every grant we ever applied to. Like, no one wanted to help us because we were so small, and I think we had like 10 members or less, and we didn't really have that much projects that we worked on within that year, just because we didn't really have money. And I feel like a lot of nonprofits are in that position. So how would you be able to help a new nonprofit that like wants to do the work, but like hasn't done anything before?
Well, we can't solve all of your financial challenges, certainly, but what we are doing is there's kind of a sliding scale. So it starts at it's dependent upon three things: host an event, at least one, during Volunteer Week, use the hashtag Volunteer Week Hawaii on a couple of social posts, and fill out our end of week survey so that we know what your impacts were. And so those are, we're basically paying people to do that. So if you host one event, right now with the pool we have, we can offer $50. I think we're gonna raise the money or raise the amount because we've just recently got a couple more sponsorships. But it's $50 for the first event, and then it scales all the way up to 8 or more events at $250. So that's kind of where it was last year. And I think we capped it at the first 100 events because that was the pool of money we had. I think we're going to extend the number of events that we can support. And then we're looking at, it's just based on how much sponsorship money we're able to generate is kind of ultimately what determines where that lies. But so it's, it's not thousands of dollars for each nonprofit, but we're just trying to, it costs money to get people out there. It costs money for flyers. It costs, energy. So we're just trying to do a piece to help in some way with the actual financials.
That makes a lot of sense. Start out small if you're a small organization.
I saw on top of your calendar, are you out also showcasing events throughout the year as well, aside from Volunteer Week? Because we definitely have a lot of volunteer opportunities and are always open to inviting people. So if that's the case, we'll be more than happy to share the ones where we definitely need more volunteers.
Yeah, we are. The platform is, it's a third-party platform. It's called Galaxy Digital. I think it was developed under a contract with the United Way back when. And so that's what we're using right now. I think ultimately we'll bring it in-house, but it's just a money thing in order to do the development to get what we really want. But it's free. We do pay an annual fee for the platform, but we allow any organization that's doing volunteer work in Hawaii to use it for free so that we can help them set up a profile for their organization or chapter. And then they have complete autonomy from that point forward on what events they put up, how they edit it, and things like that. So we just try to drive traffic to the site. Right now we're doing that around one event, which is Volunteer Week. We're looking at hosting another event 6 months out. We were considering doing something around September. September is, I think, Hawaiian History Month. And so we were thinking about maybe targeting in on cultural sites, events or volunteer opportunities that have a cultural component to them, or place-based in Hawaii that's helping to preserve or protect a particular place. So ideally, we're hosting like a larger event every quarter, which kind of will help with the traffic. It's going to ramp up and it's going to cool down. It's going to ramp up and cool down. So what we want to do is try to drive more traffic to the platform, because a lot of volunteer platforms are just kind of like ghost towns, with ongoing opportunities and nothing else. So we'll see if we can conquer that. But we're starting off with Volunteer Week, and the site is up all year long, and you can certainly use it. I think we're going to just continue to try to increase visibility, like with the Hawaii News Now partnership, being able to point at that platform for current opportunities. If we're doing a story on Hawaii News Now about a fish pond, then we want to try to get 1,000 people out to participate in the 40+ fish ponds around 6 islands in the next 3 months. Try to see if we can incentivize specific action around the stories that are being shown.
Awesome. Well, if there's not any more questions, we definitely want to dive into the data collection with April for our Ridge to Reef program. And if we can all say thank you so much to Keone for being here and sharing about Kanu Hawaii. Thank you very much. And we'll be sure to add some more events to your roster.
I appreciate it. I'll drop off and let you folks have your meeting, but thank you for your time, and please reach out. I put my email in the chat if anybody has any questions. Happy to answer. Thanks so much.
Thanks, I'll touch base.
Yoni,
with
we're going to
you.
be talking about you in our meeting too, just like we did last year in the Ridge to Reef.
Yeah. In fact, I mean, Ridge to Reef, we should talk about that. It's like the 30 by 30, campaign with the state. There's an opportunity there to kind of maybe
Little
put some bigger
synergy.
goals out. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Aloha.
Right on. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Take it away, April.
All right. Can I screen share?
You should be able to. Can you try?
Let's give this a whirl. Can you guys see it?
No.
It says it's sharing.
Oh.
Anything?
Something's happening.
Yeah, we can see it now.
Okay, so while I get into this Ridge to Reef, I figured I'd put some fun photos up. So the Ridge to Reef, thank you for all the new members, and we have a few returning members that have done this last year. But just to kind of refresh, I'll try to be as fast as I can and be respectful of everybody's time. I know we got about 10 minutes. The goal of the Ridge to Reef cleanup and data collection is really to audit the islands, to clean up and collect the data by Rotarians annually on Rotarians at Work Day, held on the last Saturday in the month of April. The desired outcomes of this project when we initially launched it last year in 2021 was through education and then by experience. We want Rotarians to learn the extent of the waste management and single-use plastic pollution on Hawaii Island communities, the importance of adopting and committing to an area in need, hence the Ridge to Reef, whatever area speaks to your heart, and to facilitate an annual cleanup or a time count where we collect and classify, sort the data to be used in awareness, education, and to impact positive changes in our own behavior towards sustainable solutions and support ongoing Rotarian projects that seek to improve environmental conditions on said areas in our community. So the statement of need really for the Ridge to Reef is that, many of our beaches, parks, trails, and reefs that we've enjoyed are now riddled with all kinds of rubbish, and most concerning is the microplastics. Plastic pollution is literally everywhere. The first evidence of microplastic particles were reportedly found in the placenta and afterbirth of 4 women who participated in a study. 100% of them had microplastics in the placenta. Most recently, 17 of 22 participants found microplastics in our blood. This is really concerning, and it should be of great concern for all of us. And this is just a small thing that we can start doing now, is by participating in this Ridge to Reef project. So now more than ever, it's pretty clear, right, that we need to do something. We cannot recycle or beach clean up our way out of this plastic pollution crisis. It will take meaningful changes in our behavior, of the products we purchase, of the food we ingest to begin correcting this problem. So by collecting the rubbish at cleanups and not classifying those pollutants, we cannot truly know where or how to fix the many problems. So as a service organization, Rotarians are people of action. And in 2020, Rotary International added that 7th area of focus to support the environment. So it's really our duty to take action and to engage in efforts like the annual Ridge to Reef cleanup and data collection throughout the islands to support positive changes in ourselves, in our environment, and our community. So I invite everybody to please join us. And let's see. So another slide I always like to share is, everybody thinks about planting trees, but let's talk about algae. Sad algae noises. Nobody shows you any love, even though you're producing more oxygen than trees. And a lot of this comes about perspective too. This is a planet if you were a fish. It's really one ocean world. I think this is a really cool map to think about. When we think about the planet, you might have a certain globe in mind, and how important everything that happens on the ridge does end up on the reef. Here's another fun image I like to share. This is planet Earth. It's just a different perspective than many of us are used to looking at it. How important our ocean is to all of our lives. Without water, there is no life. And that's where the Ridge to Reef cleanup and data collection came from. So it started in 2021, and we're going to continue into 2022. So the first thing for any folks that are interested in joining is to click that link that Christina emailed to everybody. And if you don't have the link, she'd be happy to share that email with y'all folks again, I'm sure. So the first important thing to do is for our Rotary clubs to sign up. We have a digital sign up online. This is really important, just like with the Genki Paul project, to record all the volunteers that are coming out so we know who's participating when and where. We have a little flyer that talks about the day, just a brief summary if you're trying to get other volunteers involved. This is a great way to just have a little quick one-page flyer talking about the importance of the cleanup and the data collection. And critically important is to please have all volunteers sign up and digitally sign the waiver online before or on the day of the cleanup. We do have a hard copy available, but it's ideally done online. So whoever the point of contact is for your beach cleanup, it's really important to maybe text message or email everybody to make sure that they are filling this out so we can log it on our spreadsheet. Any minors also must have to have this waiver signed out by their guardians. So you can fill it out ahead of time or the day of. And Christina has a link if anybody would like it. And if you're working with another agency, just a reminder that they might have their own waiver forms that you need to sign, but please make sure that you do fill out both. We created a little safety recommendations last year. COVID restrictions have changed drastically since then, thankfully for all of us. But we do have some information available if folks are curious about what to do for COVID-19 restrictions, if you find sharps while you're doing your cleanup, how to handle bulky items. The cleanup Christina did last year at the Pearl Harbor Historic Bike, I mean, that path had cars on it that needed to be removed. So when we're talking bulky items, it can range from, you know, a fishing line that you just can't seem to get out of the ground to a automobile. And then of course, in the case if you have an emergency, we have some resources there as well. So I just wanted to share, this was our updates as of last year on Oahu. We had Magic Island, we had on the beach, we had a reef cleanup in partnership with Ocean Defenders Alliance. Also at Magic Island, Mokulea Beach, and these were the point of contacts at that time and the expected amount of Rotarians that were coming to help out. Just to kind of give you an idea of what we hope to see grow year from year. So Waimanalo Beach, Waikiki, and James Campbell was another one that had some pretty big bulky items that we were really shocked to see what they cleaned up. We had some folks on Kauai do a cleanup too in 2 different locations. So this again can be applied statewide to all 53 Rotary clubs. We'd love to have everybody participate. For the data collection, really emphasizing again how important it is to collect that data, we created a really simple printable collection sheet. We're going to use the same exact sheet that we used last year to track just a short list of items. It's likely that you're going to find many other items on the beach as well. We wanted to keep it as simple as possible for everybody. So this printable one on the left-hand side of the screen could be clipboard and pens that people could be carrying around, and they could turn it into the point of contact. And on the right-hand side, you'll see the digital data collection form for 2022. The point of contact for each location at the end can tally up the total amount, total plastic bags, total aluminum cans, and then enter that into the digital form for us to track that information. I wanted to show just some other more complex data collection sheets that you are also more than welcome to do. We really encourage everybody to support other organizations that are taking on similar efforts, that they can use this information to make better policies and changes and use this information for their own educational purposes. So the first one I have here is from NOAA. It's actually more than one page, but just to give you an idea, you know, if this is an organization that you're wanting to support or join some of their efforts, you can see they really get down to the nitty-gritty, because with a beach cleanup, it might appear clean today, but when the tide changes, it might wash some more things in. So it is kind of nice to include that kind of information in the beach cleanup, a little bit more detailed, you know, what season it was, when was the storm activity recently. All of these things contribute to how clean or rubbish filled our beaches look. Another really good one is from Ocean Conservatory. They have a data form that's really, really easy to use. They also have a really nice app if you're wanting to record the data collection on there. They're doing some really, really great stuff, and international coastal cleanup. More of local organization that we work with, Surfrider Foundation. Wonderful, wonderful folks to work with. They also have their own beach cleanup and data collection form. And again, I mean, everything down to cigarette butts and latex gloves, you know, a little bit more in detailed for us Rotarians. We welcome you to fill out these data collection forms too, but as simple as the top 10 that we're collecting will really help us from a Rotary perspective to see what we're finding. This will help these organizations. And then the last one I wanted to show is from Sustainable Coastlines Hawaii. Oh, it looks like I got the rainbow ball from my MacBook. It's thinking. There we go. Sustainable Coastline Hawaii. Oop, go back. Sorry. The joy of slow internet. Try one more time. Way back, keep going. Wow, it really got ahead of me. Sorry, y'all. I must have run out of my high-speed internet. Which is true, I'm not making this up. What'd you say, Jenny?
I said April lives off the grid, so her internet's like really bad.
It truly is. Like, I can't make this stuff up. Try it again. Can you guys see my screen still?
Yeah,
Yes.
you could, if you want to do it that way, we can see what you're doing.
It keeps kicking me out. Let me try again. Apologize. Technical difficulties.
I mean, you could keep it like that if the playing part is hard.
Hopefully this'll stay. Here we go. So Sustainable Coastlines has a DIY cleanup card, and they have that QR code in the bottom where you can submit your data. They also have a really great DIY cleanup guide that they have available on their website. It has some safety tips and best practices, supplies that you might want to bring on your beach cleanup. Again, all of these resources we have available to the point of contact for each of the beach cleanups. If you're debating on where to do a cleanup, these were some of the locations brought to our attention last year by organizations like Surfrider and Sustainable Coastlines. So if you don't already have a cleanup plan, these are some really great areas to start, or just, you know, a block in your city. I know, I think, is Lonnie still on the call? And they did
Lonnie had to go.
Ah, shuckers. Okay, she did a cleanup, I think, in Waianae last year, like this. They did a couple city blocks, so it really is Ridge to Reef. So this was just some information that I had from Kanu Hawaii for last year. We also, you know, just as well, we're doing it again this year, really encouraging folks to sign up to show what service projects we are doing. So in 2022, it's going to be very similar. You go to their website, it should take you less than 5 minutes. You click on the link, fill out the information, and as Keone had mentioned, they can make it private or public if you are looking for more volunteers. But even if it is private and you don't want volunteers, it's really great to just show folks what us Rotarians are doing. So the day of the cleanup and the data collection, make sure for, you know, any COVID-19 per our local government, you know, if anybody's feeling ill, really encourage you to stay home, or, you know, there's a time and a place, and I think our health should be number one. But the volunteer waiver form, all volunteers in attendance need to be filling that out. The printable data collection sheet with maybe some clipboards the day of will be great. And remember to turn those into the point of contact. Rotary tents, banners, so volunteers can easily find your cleanup and your sign up tent. Repurposed rubbish receptacles. We were able to get grain bags donated last year from Waikiki Brewing Company, I believe. And I'm sure they have plenty more, but we also encourage the 5-gallon buckets because they're pretty lightweight and they don't cut through regular plastic bags. And a little we don't want to use more plastic to clean up plastic. If we can, we want to try to repurpose something to put those rubbish items in. Grabbers are really nice too. Some sorting bins for when you're actually sorting out the data, a scale if you have possible, hand sanitizer, first aid, extra water. Always make sure we're staying hydrated. For us Rotarians, make sure you're wearing Rotary logoed shirts, hats, and shade covers, reef safe sunscreen, or ideally some sun shirts, so we're not using more chemicals. And then sunglasses, heavy duty gloves, closed toed shoes for everybody's safety. Make sure to take pictures before and after, and try to get some candid, moments from folks, either photos or videos. And then, yeah, that printable data sheet, make sure to hand that into the point of contact. And then some after pictures, it's kind of like a home renovation. Everybody loves to see the before and after. And if you need to make any arrangements to get the items picked up too, we'll make sure to try to help you guys out with that. A light snack and refreshment if possible. I know we're way over time, so I'm going to rush through. I have some items available if anybody wants to do a beach cleanup and they're looking to sort sand quickly. This device was donated to us last year. It was really cool. We've used it a couple of times. So it's some old bicycle rims, chicken wire, and there's a like crank on the outside of it where you basically dump some sand into the higher elevated part, roll it around, and then that little blue cap unscrews and you can dump out most of the plastics from there. We also have some hand sifters. These were donated to us and we branded them with our Rotary Club stamp on them. We have some regular like food purposed sifters that also help too. Waikiki Brewing for the empty grain bags, great resource. Again, any fever, cough, shortness of breath, stay home and encourage people to do the same. Another fun thing to do at the end, if you're crafty or artsy, get crafty with that plastic. Make something beautiful out of this trash if it can't truly be recycled. So I think that is everything that I wanted to cover. I apologize if I spoke really, really fast. I was trying to run through all of this stuff, but I think I covered most of the bases. Yeah. Anybody have any questions?
I do. April, I thought it was too late to sign up for Ridge to Reef.
Christina, I think we...
Sorry, not as in members to show up to cleanups. I mean, like as in to make a cleanup at a location. I might be wrong though.
Well,
I mean, you could do it the day of.
Yeah, I mean,
truly.
if somebody wants to, hustle and get one together today, then I'll be more than happy to help them do it. But I think there's other people too that said that they wanted to do one, or other clubs, and then they haven't selected a location, or they are doing one and then they actually haven't gone on our site and filled out that form yet. So it's more of just getting everybody on the same page, because I think a lot of people already had in mind that they were doing something for Earth Month anyhow, and we're just trying to be able to track everybody.
Yeah, I think we've only had 2 locations signed up on the forms. When I was looking at the Google Forms, I'm like, we've only had 2 submissions. So, anything is better than nothing this year. So we're going to get it going with what we got.
Well, I think we have about 15. Maybe you're looking at a different one, but we have about 15 different clubs who are participating. So that's where we're at now. And hopefully we can get a couple more, and then the people that are outstanding, I have a handful of people that said they're doing something, and hopefully that they fill out the forms for us.
Okay,
And
cool.
for our club members, do we have to go to the Pearl bike path, or can we choose where we want to go?
That's the one that we're hosting. It's a little different from last year, because last year we had so many, and our club was kind of the point people where every single member was sent to a different one. So as of right now, if you want to sign up for another club's cleanup, you can, but they're kind of like doing their own, and we aren't actually needing to be like a host at each of them. So you know, they've kind of like got things situated, and then they'll be able to, you know, host and do their own, where we definitely could use the help for our club. I'd encourage our club members to come to ours for sure.
Okay.
It was 2 volunteer waivers that got filled out so far.
Oh, yeah. That one, I could see that not very many
Yeah.
got those signed. That just went out, I think, a few days ago. And I think a lot of people will be I'm hoping everybody pushes that out the day of, that everybody's signing it, if not before, right before.
To get people to sign their waivers, you have to like straight up ask every single person to sign it, because with Genki Ball, no one signed it unless I like texted them and was like, hey, you need to sign it.
Yeah,
So I
like
texted,
at
like,
registration.
400
right?
people. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's good for anybody that's on or listening that is hosting a Ridge to Reef cleanup. It's best that when you have registration, you're basically appointing someone for registration to either be texting them, or you make a QR code or have them enter that specific link. And, you know, we've been doing this regularly now for all of our service projects, and it's working really well because it tracks everybody. And it also, you know, gets the waivers down. So Jenny's been really good about it with our 200 plus volunteers at both days. So it seems to be doing well. I think that's it. Anything else, April?
I think that's it from me. I tried to cover everything as fast as I could.
You did, awesome.
But yeah, if there's any other questions, I see some new folks on here. I don't know if they were here for Kanu as well, or if Ridge to Reef questions, give a holler.
Oh, and one more thing, for those that are new to the data collection, we did it in Pearl Harbor area, and you know, we had like so much trash, so it's a little different than other beach cleanups and things. So if what we did, and it worked pretty well, was be in groups of 2 or 3, and we had a sheet with the data collection, and one person would be jotting down what is going into that bag. Therefore, you wouldn't have to later dump out that bag and get an inventory of what's in that bag. Because I know that Surfrider and some other organizations, like they will literally, all the bags that are collected from all of the people that are out there, they take those bags, they dump them out on like a huge tarp and then sort through everything and then do it themselves to track everything. But for us, that wasn't obviously going to work. We've got big trucks from the city and county driving behind us and collecting all of like the tons of trash. So, you know, we had to pretty much do it as we put it into the bag. And, you know, that can be an easy way to do it, where you just tally it and then you give your paper to the point of contact. That might be more helpful depending on your cleanup. Just a thought.
That's a good suggestion. Last year we did that when we're at Ala Moana for the beach, the Ridge to Reef, when we were going to different Rotary clubs. So I was at Ala Moana, and we did like groups of 4 to 5, and one person was like the point of contact to, I guess, write down and tally, you know, which pieces of trash we found, and that was really helpful, rather than, you know, dumping that out at the end, because at the end everybody was really tired. So yeah, that's a good suggestion.
All right. Well, we have this recorded, and I'm going to also send this out to everybody that has signed up for Ridge to Reef, and along with some helpful reminders. Thank you so much, April. If there's not any other questions, we could sign off, because I know we're past time for everybody. Good? Yeah? Thanks, everybody, for joining us today. And without, oh, we have to do one more thing. Hold on really quick. Before we end, we can do the 4-way test. Really quick, for those that are on the 4-way test, of the things we think, say, and do. Number 1, is it the truth?
Is it the
Is it
truth?
the
Is it the
truth?
truth?
Number 2, is it fair to all concerned?
Is
it
it
fair
fair
to
to
all
To all
concerned?
concerned.
Number 3, will it build goodwill and better friendship?
Will it build goodwill and better friendship?
Number 4, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Will it be beneficial to all
concerned?
And number 5, is it eco-friendly and is it fun?
Is it
Is it eco-friendly and
It is.
fun?
All right, thank you guys, and please sign up with me for the Eco Rotary Pearl Harbor cleanup. I'd greatly appreciate that. Thank you guys.
Aloha.
Thanks, everyone.
Joining you folks.
Bye.
Thank
I
you.
thank you.
Christina, stay on.
Okay, hold on, let me just